Hi, my name is Mikailah Jimenez, and today I'm going to be talking to you about my response to Throne of Blood. Overall, I thought the film was fairly good. It was really interesting as well because I've never seen a film quite like this one before. My initial reaction, however, was, oh no, there's subtitles. I have never been one to enjoy a film where there are subtitles because I find it really, really hard to read what the characters are saying and trying to connect it to how these characters are acting with one another. And as I progressed through the film, it got super, super simple to kind of see what was going on, so I enjoyed it. However, I was at a bit of a disadvantage when it came to this film because I've never seen or read Macbeth in a Western sense. So getting to see this for the first time, it really, really put an interesting spin on it for me because this is a different culture and I'm seeing this story through their eyes, and the fact that they're adding their own unique little things to the film. But overall, I definitely enjoyed it. The beginning was more my favorite than the end, unfortunately, because I felt the action kind of got to a point where it stalled out. And I kind of got bored towards the end and kind of was like, okay, when is this film going to finish? But overall, it's definitely something I would probably watch again. But it was a fairly good film, so I enjoyed it. Moving on to prompt 2. The 3 aspects I saw from No Theater stuck out pretty well to me. The first being the old person or spirit. We see often in No Theater that there's a frail elderly person who then transforms into a spirit later on. And they play a key role throughout the whole thing because they kind of motivate the actors to do the actions that they are supposed to. We see this in the very beginning of the film with the 2 generals after the first battle riding through the forest to get to the castle. And they happen to stumble upon an old woman trapped in a cage. And if it's an old man, I apologize. It was kind of hard to differentiate if it was an old man or a woman. Moving on, for them, it was more that she prophesizes what's to happen later in the story. And we see it as one way, whereas we see it played out very differently. And she plays a key role in how this story goes, and she's more of a narrator and the storyteller throughout the whole thing. Because without the elderly person or spirit, No Theater loses that element of otherworldliness. The second, and what I think is the most important that I saw throughout the film, was the walking. For No Theater, it's very, very essential that the walking portrays your character, because in the plays we see that the characters are covered in masks and it's very hard to use your facial expressions to show what's happening. And for me, specifically, I saw Washizu, I believe is how you pronounce it. Washizu's facial expressions were very hard to differentiate. He kind of had this look of panic and kind of like, okay, what's going on throughout the whole film. And it was very, very hard to tell his reactions on things, whereas his body language definitely played a key role. For example, in the beginning, his wife was trying to convince him to kill the king while they were staying at his home. And you can tell through his reactions, or through his walking, he doesn't completely want to do this, but he's doing this to better his stature, to better his life in the end. But you can see through his walking after his wife hands him the spear, he's very slow and very hesitant and kind of has this inner battle with himself while he's walking. Um, Whereas later on in the film, towards the end actually, we see that while he's talking to the soldiers before the last battle, he's walking with a purpose and he's very confident and he has definite steps that he takes in order to make sure that his soldiers are prepared. So throughout the whole film, the walking that each character does portrays an emotion, which is very, very key to this type of theater. Finally, I saw The Bridges. This one was a little bit harder for most people, I think, to kind of see because it is a set piece. And this set piece plays a key role in No Theater because it kind of gives, well, the bridge itself kind of symbolizes the otherworldliness, how it's not total reality in these plays, whereas we have spirits coming across into our world, so to speak. Because of this, we see a few instances in the film where this happens. The one that really sticks out to me is at the very beginning when the king is at the command post and the two servants are walking across this bridge to set up the sleeping arrangements for Washizu and his wife in the room where the last commander was killed. And we see them being in this room, how it affects the way Washizu's wife is talking to him and saying he could, through the prophecy, you can kind of move on in life, move up. And the bridge kind of there symbolizes how they're moving from this kind of simple life to what the old woman had prophesized. And prompt 3, I thought that Kurosawa used no theater because this form of theater is very, very simple, but very, very powerful in what you want to portray. Because of its distinct movements and the fact that everything is so minimal, I feel like that plays the key role, because if you want a stronger impact on your audience, you're not going to do something super elaborate, something very dramatic to confuse the audience. You want it straight and to the point. Overall, I think this was the best form of Japanese theater to choose from, because the story, I feel, would have been taken too lightly if we had chosen a different form. For example, if we had used bunraku to portray this story, it would have, to me, a more comedic feel to it, because bunraku is traditionally placed in between, I guess you could say, scenes of no theater for a bit of comedic relief. So it would have been used to kind of lift the mood during these dramas since they were so intense. But I feel like using the techniques of no theater through this whole film definitely enhanced this story, because I've never seen this story before. So by taking the concepts of no theater and making them very dramatic and very simple, I was able to kind of understand the storyline, and this made it more powerful to me, being it was my first experience. Alright, thank you. Have a good one.